Hey all, Bree from the No Guilt Mom podcast, and I have got a gift for you this holiday season. If you love the No Guilt Mom podcast, and I mean love the No Guilt Mom podcast, then tell us about it. Leave us a review, and you can be entered to win a No Guilt Mom gift card. All you have to do is leave a review, take a screenshot, and then simply go to noguiltmom.com/review to enter our giveaway for a free No Guilt Mom gift card, simply for telling us what you think about the podcast. It is amazing. But don't delay. Get right on this, as we're going to be giving away that No Guilt Mom gift card on December 21st. So get right on over and visit noguiltmom.com/review.
Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I am your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by my dancing co-host, Bree Tucker.
Well, hello, everybody. How are you?
With the dance, you should have seen that. There was a dance that went with this, and she had movements.
Yeah, I totally had like the Saturday Night Fever.
Saturday Night Fever, yeah.
Hello.
How are you? It's so funny because this weekend, I think, like, this whole week has kind of beat me up. Like,
yeah, you have had your run of testing with luck on things.
Yeah, but it's like beat me up so much that this morning I'm like, Bree, I hereby declare this day, come as you are. And like, don't even get made up. I'm wearing like sweats and whatever. And so it's funny because I dressed in like these black like athletic shorts and just a gray t-shirt. And here Bree walks in, us not talking to each other. She is in black shorts and a gray t-shirt. So we're going to have to take a picture of us and be like, we did not plan this. It is really weird that we came in dressed alike. So it's funny.
It is what it is. Oh, gosh.
It is, but it's been a week. It's been a week, and it's crazy. It's crazy everything that's been going on, and like I'm keeping a positive attitude though.
You are, but I mean, like, seriously, if we were to start adding up and looking at all the things that have happened to you in the last, I don't know, 3 weeks?
3 weeks. It's funny.
It's been
so I read about this thing. It's in this book called The Big Leap by Gay Collins. And he talks about something called the upper limit problem, where all this good stuff starts happening in your life, and then like all of this chaos also starts happening in your life at the same time. And he attributes this to the upper limit problem because he says that in some people, when like good stuff starts happening, they can't handle it, and so they mentally like create like unconscious chaos everywhere else.
So what I'm hearing is Murphy's Law is something that we create ourselves, because I'm not so sure about that.
I don't know about that. Well, it's funny because, I mean, what's the first thing? The first thing that happened is, guys, you're going to laugh about this.
I know. This one was,
so
my
painful,
God, are you kidding me?
Oh my gosh. I like usually have my dog Addie in the car with me when I go pick up my daughter from dance, and she's in the front seat. And if
you guys have seen Addie, she's not a small dog.
She's like 65, 70 pounds. Pure muscle. Like, you look at her, she's pure muscle. Anyway, she was in the front seat and we were driving, and I was just annoyed. She would not sit down. She was like standing up, like her head was in the way of the mirrors. And so thinking like, I'm just going to brake check her just a little bit, just so she's like, and even
I should lay down.
Yeah, I should lay down, or maybe I should go back in the back seat. Like, this was just faulty beliefs on my part. And I brake checked her, and she fell headfirst into my stereo display and cracked it. And it was not a hard brake check. It was like I was going 5 miles an hour, and I'm like, brake, and she totally lost her balance, biffed it, and went into the car stereo display.
It was completely fine too, by the way. Like,
she was completely fine.
Yeah,
completely fine. I yelled pretty loud, but she was completely
like, no.
Yeah, but she was completely fine. Anyways, if you have a Toyota and you ever break that LCD display, it's a $6,000 repair because they cannot replace the LCD screen.
Yeah, and you know what? That's got to be the case in most cars. And the other thing too is like that's getting like factory repaired. But I mean, like,
but there's like,
all
it's
cars
connected,
have these displays now.
It's connected to the whole car, so like that display is your whole car. And I think I cried a little bit. I mean, when the service advisor at Toyota was like, I think you need to sit down. I'm like, what? No. So please guard those displays with your life. And then I messed up my knee last week. Like, I think I'm going to be heading for surgery.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's been fun. We like to make fun of her because Joanne lives in a 2-story house.
Yeah.
She can't get up and down her stairs very quickly. So her thing that actually you came up with this
Yes.
is like now she has a speedy getaway because it takes her like a minute to get all the way downstairs.
It's ridiculous.
One step at a time. And she's like, I'm doing my speedy getaway.
It's ridiculous. It's
No,
really
you can't
funny.
help but laugh. Okay.
But I always think like all of these things that happen to us, like have you ever noticed they happen in threes?
Okay, and then you're going to tell them you're third.
Yeah,
right?
because they happen in threes.
They do.
I feel like I'm over now. I'm done. I'm done with the bad things happening. Because when we drove down to Tucson to celebrate our wedding anniversary, my husband and I have been married for 15 years. And we drove down there because that's where my parents live. So my kids stayed with my parents and we checked into a hotel. But we were getting off the freeway and we ran over something. Or like, I don't even know what it was, but I heard the sound. And then like 2 minutes later, my husband's display lights up to show that one of the tires is like the pressure's decreasing in the tire. We're like, oh no, what happened? So we get to my parents' house. We look, the tire, like it became separated. Like it became separated from the rim. Like there was a huge gash along the side of the tire.
Oh my gosh.
Apparently this happens when tires get old.
Oh, good Lord.
And he knew that his tires were on his last leg. So he ordered these tires like a week or so ago, and he was going to like take it to Discount Tire actually that morning, but the tires had not arrived that morning. And so we decided to do the trip down to Tucson anyways. Long story short, apparently my husband has a car whose tires have to be special ordered, and like every place you go like has a delay.
Because it also had to be Easter weekend.
It was Easter weekend too. So we were calling around to all these shops in Tucson, and they're like, yeah, we could get it by Tuesday. And this is like a Friday thing.
Right.
And we have work. So gosh, it was.
So then what did you do to fix the problem?
So then, because I've run into lots of car issues before, I knew that AAA has a higher level. So there's AAA standard, which gives you 5 miles of towing. But then there's AAA Plus, which gives you 100 miles of towing. So I immediately called. I upgraded my AAA membership for it was $40 more for the year for the two of us. It wasn't that much. And they're like, okay, it takes 48 hours to go into effect. I'm like, fine, that's fine. We're planning to stay the weekend anyways. We're going to leave on Sunday. Totally cool. So on Sunday, we called and we got the car towed up to Phoenix, which was the 100 miles. Mm-hmm. But then we learned that in Arizona, it's $5 to $10 a mile. So if the tow company would have been the $10 a mile, that would have been a $1,000 tow thing. If we had not had AAA Plus. So here's the next lesson. First, guard your LCD screens with your life. Second, did you know AAA has AAA Plus?
And third, when your house is covered in plastic because you're getting work done, be very careful when you're walking down the stairs.
Very careful. Like, don't twist your knee. Instead, I was making jokes because the house was covered in plastic and it was like that plastic sheeting you see in horror movies. And I'm like, Bree, we could take out the body now. And then I'm walking down the stairs and I'm like twisting my knee and I'm like, oh no.
The universe is like, don't joke about that.
Don't joke about it.
Don't joke about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been, and actually I said 3 weeks, but all that's happened within, I think, 2 weeks. Or maybe maybe the LCD was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. I'm happy to be in a situation where we can handle those sorts of things, because this would have been devastating earlier on, like when I was in my early 20s or whatever. It would have been devastating to have those charges, and it would be devastating for most people. So
I'll be honest, it would have been devastating for me.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people, like I would not have been able to still kind of get through that without a lot of crying and a lot of curse you.
There's a lot of crying. There's a lot of times I'm very thankful to be in the situation where we have like insurance and stuff like that, because everybody should be allowed to have that.
Yeah.
That's when I really think about it, because I'm like, that's how I can't get like so like, oh, woe is me. Because I'm like, honestly, I'm very privileged. I'm very grateful. So, but I also have to laugh at my own pain.
Right. Because if you can't laugh, you cry.
You cry.
And sometimes you cry when you laugh. It's all good.
It's okay.
Because we gotta let it out.
The way I saw it, there were no dogs attacking each other, and there were no emergency vet visits in this one. So I'm very, very thankful for that.
Nobody was injured well, except for you. But not but
not in a way that
I think that if you had to pick it.
Yeah.
Like, and I think many of us are like this. Like, if we have to pick our bad luck and there has to be an injury, mm-hmm. we want it to be us and not our loved ones, not our kids, not our pets, not our parents, not our best friend. We want it to, like, let it be me. I can handle this.
Yes, exactly.
So, but that's also that mom mentality.
Yeah. And we don't accept help from anyone.
Yeah, you were tough.
I have been trying to help her out since she hurt her knee, and like even getting her to let me get her water has been tough. But that's okay. She's working on it.
I could do it. I'm good. I'm working on it. I'm working on accepting help more because that is a issue. But
yeah, which kind of brings us in a little bit to our topic today about high and low culture and
high and low context cultures. Yes, this is a communication issue, and it's something that I read about in this book called The Culture Map by Erin Meyer. It's a business book, and like there's no reason in my life I should be reading this book other than I heard her on Armchair Expert, which is like, woo woo, Armchair Expert. And I thought it was fascinating. And so my husband actually got the book because he does a lot of international business. And he brought this podcast episode up to me because he says, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense about why we're having these difficulties between our two cultures, because there's just two different ways of communicating that I had not realized before. And I thought it sounded fascinating as well. So he has not gotten to the book yet. And I got to the book. And I've been reading it, and it applies, I think, beyond business. It really applies to parenting, and it applies to being married or living with a partner or just friendships in general, to know that there's these different kinds of communication styles, and neither one is bad or good. It's just different. And being aware of that, we can have better relationships.
Yes.
So we hope you enjoy this episode of the No Guilt Mom podcast. We're hitting that time of year where my brain gets so overloaded in December that I look for anything to make life easier. And I have to say, Brie, that Green Chef is one of those services.
Yes, Green Chef is there to take away the dreaded, oh my goodness, what are we going to eat for dinner tonight? You can eat clean all holiday long with over 80 weekly meal options each week, featuring things like quick and easy, protein-packed, calorie-smart, or my personal favorite, the keto options.
And you don't have to lose track of healthy eating habits during the holidays, because every Green Chef customer gets a free session with one of their registered dietitians who can walk you through how to make clean eating work for you, which is very cool.
And I have to say that I have been loving their recipes lately. They put things together I have never thought of. This week we're trying the lemon basil caper pork with sauteed cauliflower, bell peppers, almonds, and feta cheese, my favorite. Their recipes make it so easy to support my wellness goals without skipping on flavor.
For Green Chef's best deal of the year, get $250 off with code NGM250 at greenchef.com/NGM250. That's greenchef.com/NGM250. And don't forget to use that code NGM250 to get $250 off.
Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. Hey, Aubrey here, and I wanted to share one of my favorite gifts to give during the holiday season, a Storyworth book. It is the most amazing gift ever. Storyworth is an online service that lets you create a special and unique gift of someone's story. I've given Storyworth books to both of my parents, and it has been their favorite gift, hands down. And did I mention it is so easy? Storyworth emailed my parents questions every week that I handpicked from their massive list of questions that they have. All my parents had to do was open their email and answer them. That easy. I asked my dad questions like, did you have any rules that you set for yourself as a parent, which you immediately broke? And he did. I even asked both of my parents, are you more like your mom or your dad? And they shared a lot of really amazing qualities that I didn't know about my grandparents at the time. Then at the end of the year, Storyworth compiles all of their answers, puts them into this gorgeous book that covers everything. My parents love showing us their books, and I personally love getting a chance to read them. With Storyworth, I am giving those I love a thoughtful and personal gift from the heart that preserves their memories and stories for years to come. Go to storyworth.com/NGM and save $10 on your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/NGM to save $10 on your first purchase.
So let's talk dinner time again, because it is still like just thinking about it gives me stress in my house. Basically because I feel like any dish I come up with, any like meal I plan, the rest of the family is just not going to like it. And so you have to think, why put in the effort of making all those grocery lists and planning all those meals to just get, pushback from your family? So we started using these eat at home meal plans, and what they are is it's 4 different meal plans that you get with your subscription. And it comes with a grocery list, and they're the simplest meals ever to cook. The recipes are there. So if you have older children, you can actually just pass off a recipe to them and they can make dinner for one night. It is so simple. It's so delicious. Many of the recipes have become our family favorites, like the chicken curry that I make all the time, Instant Pot chicken curry, and sheet pan meals and desserts. But it takes away all the dinner stress. So if you hate meal planning, check out Eat at Home Meal Plans, and you can sign up at noguiltmom.com/eat-at-home. And you also get 25% off when you use the discount code NoGuiltMom, all one word. And now on with the show.
You want mom life to be easier. That's our goal too. Our mission is to raise more self-sufficient and independent kids, and we're going to have fun doing it. We're going to help you delegate and step back. Each episode will tackle strategies for positive discipline, making our kids more responsible and making our lives better in the process. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom Podcast.
So communication is really, really big. We feel it's so important that we have made our new parenting course all about communication.
Yes, calm and happy parenting, because again, you're 100% right. Communication is such a cornerstone to healthy and happy relationships. It's insane how much that one little tweak of how you talk about things can make a big difference.
It can make a huge difference, and it helps us with empathy, and it helps us not have assumptions about other people's behavior. So this specific part of the culture map, and it's a book that you can get on Amazon. We're going to include the link in the show notes, but it talks about high context versus low context communication. And there are certain cultures that are low context, and there are certain ones that are high context. So for example, in a low context culture, and we live in a low context culture, like the US is a low context culture, as is Australia, Denmark, Canada, all of these places, relationships are not they prefer over communication. That's the norm.
Right. Like to be clear, crystal clear. There is no way you're going to misinterpret this because I'm going to tell it to you 6 different ways.
Exactly.
And make sure that I also come back at the very end and repeat it one more time.
And summarize it.
Yes.
Yeah, you see this a lot in the workplace where people start a meeting and be like, okay, here are the 3 points we're going to cover in this meeting. And then they cover those 3 points. And then at the end, they summarize the 3 points they covered. And then at the end, they'll email everybody and be like, here we go. Here's what happened in the meeting.
I would say we do that here at No Guilt Mom.
We do.
On our podcast, right? And these are the things we went over.
Yeah.
And then we have our written afterwards, our show notes that you can see on the blog. And it's all right there. So yeah.
Yeah, that's low context communication. And it's usually seen in cultures that are very heterogeneous. So it's made up with a lot of cultures and a lot of people, much like the US.
Okay.
But on the flip side, there are high context cultures. And this is where people rely more on their networks of friends and family. And they view their relationships as part of one large community. And they have a shared history. This is where the high context thing comes into play, that shared history. So in countries like Spain and China and Brazil, where it's a shared history and they have more to draw from, that's going to be a high context. And high context conversations, that is where people expect you to read between the lines of what they're actually saying.
So it's more about what they're not saying than what they are saying.
What they're not saying.
Okay.
And also, they don't feel like they need to spell things out because there is that shared history and that knowledge that you should be able to glean from that exactly what the conversation is.
Interesting.
So the best example I can come with about this in our culture is me and my husband, we slay at charades. We slay at charades because we have this shared history. We've been together for 20 years now. And we could say these things in charades, be like, okay, stopped, side of the road. And the other person would be like, duct tape. And you're like, what just happened here?
I would too. I would be like, what?
But it's this shared history that makes us able to communicate in this high context way in that scenario. So there's a whole story behind that.
Okay, is there a short version of the story? Because now my curiosity is, how do you get duct tape from stop side of the road?
When Josh and I started dating, we took a trip to Six Flags Magic Mountain, and his car hit retread on I-10 going out to LA.
Okay.
And it took off the front bumper. And so we were stopped on the side of the road for like 2 hours waiting for a tow truck, and his bumper was on the ground. And they told us we couldn't find any place to fix it, but we did find a roll of duct tape, and we were able to duct tape his bumper back onto the car.
Wow.
And it worked. Duct tape is amazing.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Duct
That
tape is
is
amazing.
that is stellar.
Yeah, but that's communicating in a high context way.
Right.
And so in many cultures or even families, people expect other members of their family to know what they need to do based on what has happened in the past. So instead of
could see
asking
that,
for
yeah.
help or asking them to do something, they're like, well, they should just know how to do it, because they're used to communicating in this high context way with other people that they don't know how to communicate in a low context way for those cultures or in those situations where, it calls for it.
I could see that. And I could also see the frustration that you would have to do a low context. Like, come on. You guys know that everybody's supposed to help clear their dishes after dinner. Why do I have to spell it out for you? That would be very, very frustrating. And yet, there are so many times that we do clearly articulate things. I could see why, jumping back and forth between low and high context in your family would be frustrating.
Yeah, it can be frustrating.
Yeah.
It's where most misunderstandings occur when one person in a relationship thinks that, everything is being communicated clearly and the other person should know exactly what to do. And the other person in the relationship
It's clueless.
is clueless. It's not that they're like doing things on purpose or not doing things on purpose. It's just they have no
They're
idea.
literally clueless.
Yeah.
Yes.
And neither way is better than the other, but just knowing that these two like methods of communication exist, that is the important part.
I think so, because like you brought this up to me last week when we were talking about show ideas, and you were telling me about the book and about this low context, high context, and I'm like, wow, I can see that now that you point that out. I never would have thought of that. It's that thing that in your gut sometimes when you're having a conversation or you have a relationship with someone that you feel like they just can't get it. And you're like, I can't put my finger on what our issue is, but it's there and I can see it. And then now that you have the words for it and the explanation, I'm like, oh, it makes so much more sense now.
Yeah. So there's ways, though, that you could get around this. And Erin Meyer, in her book, The Culture Map, says that in a situation when you have high context and low context people, everybody can benefit from low context strategies and putting those in place.
I can see that for sure. So how do we avoid the conflict between the two?
So in every relationship, we can also put those low context strategies in. And one of the first ways is just to bring up the issue. Because a lot of times, we stay mad at people in our family. Like if I stay mad at my husband or maybe my kids, and they don't even know there's an issue.
Yeah, and it builds that resentment. And none of us like that icky feeling in our stomach, I don't think.
No, it's like it gets you so mad when you can't talk about something and hash it out. Or if you don't even know how to define the issue to begin with. That gets me too. I'm so mad, but if I start spewing things right now, I feel like the other person's going to get really mad at me. And
so what I'm hearing is a little bit of guilt. You're also feeling guilty about feeling like this too sometimes.
Exactly.
So that's really rough.
There's a lot of guilt in it. So the first thing is just to bring up the issue. And taking this from a book called Difficult Conversations, which is also great. There's actually 3 conversations going on every time you interact with someone.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. It is so hard to raise kids who know how to manage money. Bree, right now, my kids are all about earning money for presents. My daughter wants to get presents for all of her friends, and my son is doing a Secret Santa with his friends.
Oh, I hear you. And if you're looking to raise kids that are financially responsible, we have got a lifesaver recommendation for you that you need to check out. It is Greenlight. Greenlight is a debit card and money app made for families that gives kids and teens an easy and fun way to gain financial literacy, all while giving parents peace of mind.
You can send instant money transfers, automate allowance, and even keep an eye on kids' spending with real-time notifications. Meanwhile, your kids can begin their journey towards financial autonomy by learning how to save, invest, and spend wisely.
So sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/NGM.
That's greenlight.com/NGM to try Greenlight for free. Greenlight.com/NGM. My son is playing a game right now on his computer where he's a thief and the cops are after him. So I'm so excited about this new app, Give As We Grow, where instead of being the quote unquote bad guys, kids are practicing giving back.
That is so cool, Joanne. I really wish that there was something like this when my kids were younger that got them excited about giving back to others and helped them build a better understanding of what it really means to volunteer.
Give As We Grow is the first of its kind free educational mobile app for children ages 8 to 11 that teaches kids via fun, service-focused minigame quests to tap into their unique talents and interests to help others.
And did you know that studies show that there is a biological connection between generosity and happiness, and that volunteering improves people's physical and mental health? I mean, kids who volunteer typically do better in school and are less likely to engage in risky behaviors. And that is something that I think we all want for our kids.
Ready to spark a new movement in generosity? Find and download Give As We Grow for free in the App Store for Android and iOS. And for resources for the whole family, visit giveaswegrow.org.
There's the first conversation, which goes on completely in your own head, and you're very aware of this one. It's all of your thoughts and feelings. It's how you interpret the situation. Like if my husband was leaving dishes on the counter, it'd be like, oh my gosh, there are dishes on the counter. I feel so like not respected, and I feel like he makes me do everything. Like that's my conversation.
Oh, yeah. Those are very loud.
Yes. But there's also two other conversations going on at the same time. There's the second conversation, which is in your partner's head. And that's the one that we think we may know, but we have no idea. And this is where the assumptions come in and get us in trouble.
This is like the one that you see the memes of where like the girlfriend and the boyfriend or the husband and wife are sitting there in bed and the girl's like, oh, this is such a wonderfully romantic movie. I wonder what he's thinking. And then he's sitting there going like, did I shut off my car lights today?
Yeah.
Like, just totally different. But we're thinking that they are totally like in sync with us, but they're not.
They're not.
A lot of times.
Nobody is.
Nobody knows what's going on in that head.
Yeah.
Mine or theirs.
So there's that first conversation in our head, second conversation in our partner's head, but there's also a third conversation. And this conversation is one an outside observer, if they were watching you, they would see and they could affirm, yes, that is exactly what happened. So it is a very objective view of what is going on.
You know, that would be the hardest conversation to figure out, I think.
It's kind of hard, but when you start thinking in this way, like, okay, I'm an outside observer, like what would an outside observer say is happening? So you can bring up the issue using an I notice statement, which is different than an I statement. An I statement is talking about your own feelings. An I notice is saying like what an outside observer would say. Yep, that is true.
So I notice is taking out the emotional piece of it somewhat.
Yeah. So example, if like say after dinner, your partner just leaves the table and you're dealing with all this resentment and you're like, oh my gosh, they expect me to clean up after them and everything. It's hard to come up with that third conversation because you have a lot of feelings with it. But when you think of that outside observer, you're like, okay, what's happening? Well, the dishes are on the table and they leave the room. So a way to bring it up is, I notice that when you leave the room, all the dishes are still on the table.
That is true.
Yep. That's true.
It's not saying you're doing it because you're lazy. It's not saying you're doing it because I know you want to go play your Minecraft. It's like, nope, the dishes are still on the table.
Yep. The dishes are still on the table. Check. True. And then you could be like, what's up with that? And then they could tell you what's going on in their head. They might realize right there that, oh, the dishes are on the table. I had no idea.
Okay, this totally reminds me of a story you were telling me where you had a conversation like this with somebody about something like dishes, and they were like, oh, I thought that was your job.
That was my daughter. Yes.
I was trying to respect the boundaries. That was not my story.
But it was so interesting to hear her perspective because I was able to correct it right away and be like, nope.
Oh, no.
Not my job. No. Not my job. So the I notice statement is really, really good. Just taking all that emotion out of it and think, yep, outside observer would say definitely. Number 2, try to figure out what the other person is thinking by asking questions.
I love this one, mainly because I love to ask questions.
Yeah.
I love to dig deeper and figure out what's really going on, because I know a lot of times that my perspective can be very skewed by my emotions. Because I'm very passionate. Would you say that that's a good way to describe me? I'm very passionate. My emotions run very strong within me. But the good part of it is I'm aware of that. So again, that's why I love asking questions, because I like getting to figure out what's going on. And like the questions like the what, the when, the where, the why, like just trying to dig deeper to figure out what's really going
But
on.
whys can get us into trouble with kids and for adults because a lot of people don't know the reasons behind their own behavior.
True. You get a I don't know.
Yeah.
And that can be super frustrating to someone who's trying to dig deeper.
So if you stick to like the what, the where, the why, the how, and the when, and ask them with a truly curious nature. Like, this is the difficult part. Because sometimes when we ask these questions, we do them with like a slightly, I'm going to prove a point nature.
Yep, I can see that.
So example, like a truly curious question would be, again, with the partner leaving the dinner table, like, where are you going after dinner? That's curious. You have no idea where they're going. That's fine.
That is very different than why do you go upstairs to go play your games, or where do you think you're going, or how do you expect me to do everything by myself, or even like what would you like to help put away? Again, that's throwing in those assumptions, isn't it?
It's throwing
I
in the
can hear them
assumptions.
so loudly now that it's being said, but I can see myself doing that in the moment.
Oh yeah, I think it's like it's human nature to do that in the moment because we want to prove we're right. We hear our own conversation. We're like, we're totally right.
Those emotions are running strong.
Yeah.
They're running so strong within us.
So when you ask these questions, just keep in mind, okay, I need to ask it like I'm truly curious and I don't already know the answer to the question.
Yeah, because trust me, if you have a teen or a tween, they are going to immediately pick up on that context and that
totally
tone
gonna do it. Yes.
and then you just get, you're already losing. You're already losing.
Already losing. It's so hard, but you could really tell if you're on the right track if you have a teen or tween because they will catch you on it right away and you'll hear the defensiveness. And usually when I hear that, I'm like, okay. And I just walk away because I'm like, well, didn't nail that one.
Well, a lot of times with me, I will try, and it doesn't always work. Actually, I would say I probably need to stop doing this route because it doesn't work most times. But I do try to, if I hear the defensive, I try to stop and go, okay, let me reset. I did not mean to have a tone. I did not mean to do that. Can we start again?
I like that.
And sometimes, my kids will let me start again, and sometimes they won't. And that's the hard part, is accepting no, I don't want to restart this. And then you're like, damn it, blown moment.
Yeah.
Dang it.
So bringing up the issue, number one, trying to figure out what the other person is thinking by curiously asking questions. And then number three, being open to problem solving. Like, it is not all on you to come up with a solution to the problem.
And I think that is a big thing with us moms. Like, I think that we feel like it's our job to do everything for our family. And that includes coming up with the solutions.
Yeah. And I think that adds a lot of stress because then we have to figure out the right solution. Well, if we take that off of us,
Yes.
it's not our job to come up with a solution.
It's a lot of stress. And I'm going to run back to that word of resentment. Like, it's not only stress, but then we start to get angry or resentful or frustrated that people aren't listening to us or that it isn't working the way that we put the solution out there for. And we start to get mad at them because, again, we're making assumptions, right? That they know what we're thinking and that they understand our thought process. And, it's just not fun. It's just not fun, people. I hate that.
It's not fun. So be open to the problem solving. And if you totally find this as fascinating as we find this, and you feel like you would like to up your game in your communication and get your kids and your family to listen and help you out more, Calm and Happy Parenting!
It's open this week only.
Oh my gosh. We are so excited to welcome our students. I am so thrilled for this course because I'm teaching it live. So I get to talk with you as I teach it. And it's just going to be like this great community of parents helping each other and upping our communication skills and getting our families to listen and help more and throwing away our resentment.
And we're going to teach them how to be, because I love this. You did an acronym. I love the acronyms. We're going to teach them how to be happy.
Happy is our nice acronym. But if you want to go see it, go on over to our Calm and Happy Parenting sign-up page. We put a link for it in the show notes. And until next time, remember, the best mom's a happy mom. Take care of you. We'll talk to you later.
And thanks for stopping by.
Are you looking for something to listen to with your whole family? Then check out 6 Minutes. Produced and created by Gen Z Media. With over 200 twisty, cliffhanger-filled episodes, 6 Minutes tells the story of 11-year-old Holiday who is pulled from the icy waters with no memory of who she is or where she came from.
3 years ago, Brinley Pasternak helped the Anders family uncover the truth about Holiday's past. Now she'll need them to help her find the truth about hers. In 6 Minutes Out of Time, the long-awaited sequel, Cyrus Anders is found unconscious near the mysterious Elixir Academy in Florida, and Brinley learns the school may have a shocking connection to her missing mother.
Dive in now and get the most downloaded family audio adventure in history. Follow 6 Minutes wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen early and ad-free with the GZM family subscription.